The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're going to love it.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. You know what? I wasn't even going to say anything about this, but you know what? I'm such a perfectionist, and quite frankly, it just bugged the crap out of me. But I think Friday's episode, again, sounded not good because of this reverb situation. So I think I finally figured it out, and hopefully today's episode is back to normal. But anyway, all right, so October 1. Geez, man, this year went by fast. Debate tonight. Vice presidential debate tonight. JD Vance versus Tim Walz. Let's see how it goes. I mean, I think I made the call last week. I think JD Vance is going to get the best of him. I think he's going to come off good. You know, again, even though I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, I'm not shy about this. I think JD Vance is a plant. I really do. And if not a plant, maybe he's not a plant, but he was placed in this because, again, if Trump Vance wins and something happens to Trump, I think that was planned. I really do. I think that was planned. I think JD Vance is someone that can absolutely be controlled. I really do. I really do. I think he goes back to the old school days of, you know, the uniparty stuff where presidents had bosses, and we're going to get into all that deeper over the next few weeks. We really are. But I really do think that. I know that's kind of like, I've had a few friends call me and they're like, dude, seriously? You're out there with that one. I'm like, am I though? Am I out there with that one? I mean, again, I forget who it was. I'm trying to figure out whose podcast it was. Actually, might have been Candace Owens. Man, everyone thinks I'm in love with Candace Owens, which I kind of am, actually. But it might not have been hers. But anyway, somebody again, they made up the great point. You know, it's like, I'm all for non-politicians getting into politicians, but his ascent was so fast and so furious. And again, it happened during a election in 2022 where Republicans barely won anything, but he ended up getting a Senate seat. And then from there, you know, again, I mean, think about it. You know, he ended up obviously as the vice president. Actually, even man, I need to figure out who said this. Even more kind of crazy than that was, so this book that he wrote and then got turned into a movie. I think it's called like Hillbilly Elegy or something. Well, let me see what it's called. Yeah, that's it. I have not read it, nor have I watched the movie on Netflix, which I probably should at some point. But you know, here's another thing about that. And trust me on this from someone who took the time to write a book, but obviously was not high profile enough in order to get a publisher on board, or quite frankly, I mean, again, I've sold a bunch of copies. I really have, but you know, it's not like a New York Times bestseller or anything like that. So even that book, he was not anybody special when he wrote that book, and it blew up. It absolutely blew up. And then Netflix optioned it and turned it into a movie, or some producers optioned it and turned it into a movie. And again, think about that concept of getting a publisher on board when you're not a known entity. I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody listening to this podcast, nor out of 100 people in America in 2015, I don't think 99 of them would have known who JD Vance was. Maybe all 100 would not have known who JD Vance was. So the fact that he also was able to get a publisher and get a book published, and then it got turned into that, like all that stuff, to me, it's red flags. It's red flags. So anyway, let's see what happens in the debate tonight. I do think it's important. You know, everyone says the debate doesn't matter in terms of the election, and I probably agree with that. Like, I don't see anybody changing their vote because they're super impressed with JD Vance, or changing their vote because they're super impressed with Tim Walz. But again, man, think about it. And I think this applies more. Actually, I think it strictly applies in the Trump situation. I don't think if Harris Walz wins, I don't think there's any issues there. But if Trump Vance does end up winning, which I've said before, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be allowed to happen. I'll put it that way. You know, and Trump, quote unquote, God, I don't even like saying it. But man, you are one step away from the presidency as vice president, obviously. So anyway, just a little food for thought on that. Just a little food for thought on that. All right, moving on. Quick shout out, buddy from college, fraternity brother, Jason Hartley, my man. Didn't even know you listened. Love that. Anyway, he sent me a note on Facebook Messenger yesterday, and it said, Ray, on your last podcast, the Marine used a root cause analysis tool called the 5 Whys, critical automotive industry tool. Idea being, by the 5th why, you're at the root of any issue. I love that. It took him 3, I think, and that was wild in his case. Unbelievable. And I said, wow, that's very cool. I did not know that was an actual tool. That's pretty awesome. And then ironically, somebody in my Instagram sent me that exact same clip and was also like, hey, I heard this on your podcast. It was really cool, but did you hear the ending of it? Which I had not. And so they sent me the full clip. So I'm going to play this again. First of all, I really think the 5 Whys, I'm going to start to use that. But I think the progression he made during during his 3 are pretty incredible. And then really the back half, which I didn't play last time, I thought was super interesting as well. So let me play this. Play this again, I should say.
I'm at the point now where I don't think I fought for the country. I fought for some politician's view on something. There are particular guys that I think of that I killed. And I remember one dude in particular that I killed, and like I shot his buddy, and then I came through his room. I killed him in front of his wife in a bedroom because he went for a gun. And I think about him now, and it's like, all right, why did I kill that guy? Well, because he went for a gun. Okay, but why did he go for a gun? Well, because I was in his fucking room at 2 a.m. Well, why was I in his room at 2 a.m? Well, because George fucking Bush was pissed that Saddam Hussein allegedly wanted to kill his dad, so we invaded.
So that was the part you heard last week, which, again, I just think it's so poignant. I really do. Like, and that's coming from somebody who did it. You know, imagine what that guy lives with. Like, he lives with, obviously, you know, all of that, which, again, I mean, I'm sure he's fine with it because he's obviously talking about it on a podcast. But again, I mean, that's a little haunting, or it could be haunting, you know, if you let it. I mean, I could see that overwhelming some people if they let it. So listen to the second half of this. This was actually really cool.
And then I start to think, was this guy funny? What if I met him in Paris over a coffee? Would we have actually liked each other and I just kill him because a politician sent us here for weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist? The only reason we were killing each other is because we were born on different parts of the world. That's it. Yeah.
That's an insane statement. The only reason we hate each other is because we were born in different parts of the world. That's so true. That's so true.
When you start seeing Ukraine and some of these things that are happening right now, of like putting us in these wars that there's just no winners. And when you've been to those countries, it's like, damn, like those are real people. I watched real people there, and it doesn't feel real from the United States because we just see it on TV. But like when you've walked those streets, it just hits you different.
I mean, that is what that is what everyone says who really experiences these countries and experiences the people in the countries. Because again, remember, it's not the people that are creating these narratives and honestly creating these wars. Again, it's a subset of the folks in the governments, the various governments or various, you know, people in power that are doing this. And believe it or not, I mean, honestly, It takes a very small group of people to create very, very tremendous events. It really does. That's a hard concept to wrap your mind around, like thinking like a group of maybe 15 or 20 people, maybe even less, can launch the direction of an entire country. But I will tell you, I'm going to prove that to you guys because, again, I am working on the episode that really helps us understand this neoconservative, the neocon movement, which came out of, really, it was born out of George H. Bush, so Bush Sr., but then really kind of fell into play in 2000. And there's a document I found on the internet from that time. It's called Project for a New American Century. It's actually like the neocon Bible or playbook that got created. And so I was able to find it. I downloaded it. I'm actually going to read it. And then I might also put it in that notebook LM and see what how they analyze it. But that again, that whole Project for a New American Century and this defense document that got created in 2000, that really became the playbook for many, many years. And these neoconservatives, these neocons, I'm talking, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Paul Wolfowitz. There's a few other guys. Condoleezza Rice was part of that. That's a small group of people. That's a small group of people from what I understand. You're talking about less than 10 people that, quite frankly, changed the political and military direction of the United States. That's pretty insane. That's pretty insane if you think about that. So anyway, more to come on that. More to come on that here soon. By the way, yesterday also, Dikembe Mutombo died from brain cancer. Man, remember Dikembe Mutombo, the finger-wagging defensive specialist that was from the DRC, the Dominican Republic of Congo, which is where all the lithium, cobalt stealing is happening. I was going to say mining, but man, that situation is just ongoing. There you go. As the world continues to drudge forward with other things, they are continuing to absolutely have inhumane conditions in the Congo mining cobalt, but let's not worry about that because we need our iPhone 16s. All right, next topic, Hurricane Helene. Man, I'm watching some stuff on CNBC as I'm recording this, and gosh, that flooding is insane. So all of my prayers for anybody affected. It looks like there were almost 2 to 3 million people without power. It makes me think back to, again, just how easy it is to cripple a community, a city, and potentially a country. I mean, you take out the power grid, you take out the internet, you take out means of communication. From what I see on this Hurricane Helene, people are without power, and then it looks like the cell towers went down. So think about that. Actually, that's an interesting little thing that I just thought of. So most people don't have landlines anymore. So if the electricity goes out, well, I guess your landline wouldn't work without the electricity. But if you don't have a landline, you're reliant on your cell phone for everything and the internet. So let's say the internet's down, and then let's say the cell phone towers are down. How are you communicating with anybody? You're not. How are you getting any information? You're not. That's pretty scary, man. That is pretty scary. We are so dependent on technology. It is insane. There's no redundancies anymore, no backups. I don't know what the backups would be back in the day. I guess maybe getting newspapers and things like that. But man, electricity goes, you have no internet, cell phone towers are down, you can't call anybody. That's wild. That's wild. All right, next up, I had another friend send me these two clips, and he's like, "Hey, check this out. Does this make sense to you?" And he didn't want me to mention his name, so I'm not going to mention his name. He does not get a shout out. He gets a hidden shout out. All right, so I think this stuff is worth listening to because, again, I know this is going to trigger some people because I do know a lot of my friends and a lot of people that listen just absolutely hate Trump beyond belief, and that's fine. I'm never trying to change anyone's opinion about him or about anybody else. I will tell you, again, I've got my own major reservations with this guy. I absolutely do. I absolutely do. There's things that he continues to do and continues to say that are just so off to me. Same thing with Kamala Harris and same thing with Biden and all those guys. Like, again, I judge everyone independently and I judge their takes, and there's things I like and there's things I don't like. But what I've always kind of thought, or not always, really over the past couple of years, and a lot of it's just based on the research that I've done, is that, opinion on Trump changed when he decided to run for president in 2016. Most people that you talk to in 2015, when again he was going on Oprah, he was going on The View. If you remember my man Kaizen, when I had him on the podcast, I said, "What did you think of Trump in 2015?" He's like, "I didn't. He was the apprentice guy. That's all I thought of him. He had a funny catchphrase, 'You're fired.' That's all I thought of him." But overall, and especially in the hip hop community, I mean, the dude was revered, like beyond loved. He was revered. So anyway, my friend sent me these two clips in regards to Trump and Diddy. And I think they're interesting. So here's the first clip from 2015, and it is Trump and Aubrey, or is it Audrey? I forget. Audrey or Aubrey O'Day. She's the gal from Danity Kane, who, by the way, like has had a lot of issues with Diddy, and kind of was one of the people that came out, said and really spilled the beans on him early on, but she was painted as a liar and she was like completely railroaded. But listen to this clip. So this is again from 2015.
Working for Diddy for 6 years trained me to have to be perfect.
Working for Diddy?
Absolutely.
I love Diddy. He's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy. Is he a good guy?
I don't want to answer that question.
Oh, wow. I think he's a good guy. I'm going to stick up for him.
All right, that was a shorter clip than I thought, but man, two really incredible things to take away from that. And I'm going to play it again here. But here's Trump. Oh, we're good friends. We're good friends. I'm going to stick up for him. And then when he asks Aubrey O'Day, "Is he a good guy?" She's like, "I'm not going to answer that." That's pretty interesting. All right, listen to it again really quick.
Working for Diddy for 6 years trained me to have to be perfect.
Working for Diddy?
Absolutely.
I love Diddy. He's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy. Is he a good guy?
I don't want to answer that question.
Oh, wow. I think he's a good guy. I'm going to stick up for him.
All right. So again, that obviously shows that, those guys probably had a relationship for years, heck, maybe decades. So there wasn't bad blood between them or anything along those lines. And so now listen to this clip from, this probably was 2020, so it was leading up to the 2020 election, and this is Diddy on Charlemagne the God. So give a listen to this.
White men like Trump need to be banished. That way of thinking is real dangerous. Mm-hmm. When you look at it, we don't have no choice. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You can say what you want about Biden. I can't say I love the pick either, but hey, we got to get him in office, mm-hmm. and then we got to hold him.
All right. So again, I mean, obviously, you could say, well, hey, maybe he changed his opinion based on what Trump did during the 4 years of his presidency and all that. And that's fine. I totally do respect that. It just goes to show, though, that, I don't know, I just think there's more to it than all this. I really do. I think there's more to it than all this. And again, I'm not all in on any of these people. I'm really not. And every day that goes by and everything that I see from both sides just makes me continue to just question so many things. Oh my God, pretty crazy. All right, last clip of the day, and more to come on this. And again, I know a lot of you guys don't really pay attention to this stuff, and which is fine. I'm not obviously judging that. So hopefully on this podcast, by listening to me, you can at least have a working knowledge of kind of what's going on. And so, what is going on right now in the Middle East is that, again, it has totally shifted attention and focus. It's like out with Hamas, in with Hezbollah, out with Palestinians, in with the Lebanese people. And, again, this stuff it's by design. It is not random or haphazard, I'm telling you. So give a listen to this clip that somebody spliced together, and it's basically Benjamin Netanyahu from last week, and then they spliced together the military commander for the Israeli Defense Forces from a year ago. So listen to the similarities between what the two say when Netanyahu's talking about basically Hezbollah, Lebanon, and then the other guy's talking about Palestine, Gaza from a year ago.
What's happening in Lebanon is just a repeat of Gaza. Watch for yourself.
I have a message for the people of Lebanon.
Attention, citizens of Gaza.
For too long, Hezbollah has been using you as human shields. It placed rockets in your living rooms and missiles in your garage.
Hamas puts your life in danger by placing weapons and forces within civilians' area in Gaza, including schools, mosques, and hospitals.
Now, starting this morning, the IDF has warned you to get out of harm's way. I urge you, take this warning seriously.
For your own safety, move south. This is not a mere precaution. It is an urgent plea.
Once our operation is finished, you can come back safely to your homes.
Moving back to northern Gaza will be possible once the intense hostilities end.
All right, so basically, again, that's crazy. Rinse and repeat. Now it's time to do the same thing in Lebanon. So here, I'm going to give this guy his due. Listen to his conclusion.
The second I saw that video directed at the people of Lebanon, I knew it looked familiar. I've been talking about this every single day since last October, and I see the same things happening in Lebanon that I saw happen in Gaza. They will use whatever excuse possible to enact terrorism on another country. At this point, we've heard it all before. They told the people of Gaza, you will be able to return home at the end of all of this. This is what their home looks like now.
All right, he shows the graphic of Gaza, which, again, if you haven't seen, it's like, I think almost 80% is just gone. And like, it's not coming back. To rebuild that destruction, they're saying is going to take 10 to 15 years. Think about that. That's insane. Anyway, all right, that is it. I'm trying to think if I had any other quick clips that I wanted to play. You know what? I'm going to play you a fun clip. I know this episode was kind of Debbie Downer. Let me play you a fun clip. Let me take it out with a interview. I posted this on Friday and got some hilarious comments. But let me play an interview from the one and only James Brown. So give a listen to this. Have a great day. Let's see what happens with the debate tomorrow. I will be back with an analysis. But ladies and gentlemen, the one and only James Brown.
We welcome you, James Brown. How did all of this trouble begin?
Living in America. Something wrong.
And what are you going to say to your fans when they ask you some questions about it?
I'm going to say I feel good.
It sounds to me as though you're not troubled by any of this at all.
This is a man's world.
Thanks for reminding us of that. James, I have to ask you one serious question here. I understand you already have started divorce proceedings. Does that mean that you're now eligible?
Yes, I'm eligible. I'm single. I want to mingle. Papa's got a brand new bag living in America.
The women love you when you get out there.
Why is that, ladies?
Well, I'm asking you.
Huh? Because I look good.
Why do you think that is? You
I
look
smell good. I feel good.
And you sing good.
And make love good.
Oh. Well, there we are. We don't have to ask anybody else. We got that from the source. There you are.
Papa's got a brand new bag. It's a man's world.
This guy was good.
This episode was brought to you by the new book, Deep Shallow Dive Into You, available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hardcover and paperback. Don't forget to sign up for our new mailing list on our website at deepshallowdive.com.